Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and I'm looking this morning at a book from Oxford University Press. It's the second edition of Thomas on Powers, written by Geraint Thomas, and it's this book here. We'll look at it in a minute. It's 800 odd pages worth of work. We've given it a title with our review on the web of The Authoritative Work on Powers Relating to Property and Trusts, now in its long-awaited second edition. Now, before I talk a little bit about that, let's look at the book in its new edition. That's the front cover. The back has got an extensive index, as you can probably see from there. It's just over 800 pages long. What you have got, and what I do like about this, apart from the reference numbering at the sides, which is the actual numbering is very helpful, is that the actual detail of the footnotes, which are extremely helpful in this, what is actually a complex subject area for many, many people. There's a nice picture at the front of the book, and of course do read the preface, because that will give you some idea of where Mr. Thomas has gone with this work since the first edition. What we say about it in simple terms is this: if you're a practitioner involved in any way with matters relating to trusts, you probably already have the first edition, which came out in 1994, of what is actually a monumental and authoritative work. It'll be probably gathering some dust, hopefully not, in your library. However, this is the second edition, and new from OUP. It's completely up to date, and it incorporates the changes that have occurred in the momentous 14 years since the first edition. The author, Geraint Thomas, points out that one of the more startling developments over this time period is the vast increase in the volume of case law now available to practitioners, partly due to new technology. Well, Mr. Thomas, there is a huge amount of case law in every area of law, but this is another area which actually is a little bit unusual, because normally you don't have quite so much movement. So I take your point about that. It's worth noting that within the nearly 900 pages, there are 82 pages of cases and 10 pages of statutory instruments and statutes. So we can see there's been a lot of activity going on. It's also partly due, for example, to the proliferation of pension scheme trusts and other specialist legal products and services which are often now trust related. And as Thomas says, quote, "There is now more raw material to select from, synthesize and explain, as well as the fact that doctrines and principles of the law of powers have been given a new lease of life." And I can remember the confusions I had as a student when I was trying to understand powers many, many years ago in the 1970s. This new edition reflects the fact that the constant and continuing changes in the law have taken place in this complex area, and it does appear that some topics that were once of great significance have become less so, whilst others, formerly of less significance, have become more so, such is the way with the topic, of course. Also, certain ancient principles have been revived and applied to modern circumstances and conditions. The result of this work, of what has been done here, is a formidable, very readable and lucid work of scholarship, which in our view is easy to read and to use. I certainly found it quite refreshing. There's a useful index which I indicated at the back. Let me finally conclude by saying that this is, by explaining what's in the book and how it's going about things, it's actually a very richly resourced work, and that's one of the things that I found particularly important. Just looking at taking footnotes just as an example, there's a huge amount of detail there which is extremely helpful for us as practitioners. The first edition has been cited regularly in the past in the courts, and we've no doubt that if you're a practitioner in this field, you'd add this to your this long-awaited second edition to your library. So thank you to OUP and to Geraint Thomas for an excellent new edition, and the huge work he's put in. Thank you. Bye-bye.